Hi, my name is Dawn, and this is Have That Talk. Now, I want you to think back on a time when senior management in your company made a huge decision that affected your team, and you needed to communicate the decision to your team. You weren't involved in the decision, nobody asked you, you may not even agree, but here you are as the messenger, and you've got to have that conversation with your team about the role that may have been eliminated, about the project that may have been cancelled, and the restructuring that has been decided. Should you apologize for something that you weren't involved in and you have no control over? Or do you not apologize at all? So, what do you do here? I want you to be aware of two false friends. And one is apologizing because you think you're empathizing, saying, oh, I'm really sorry. I really regret what's happening. It's really hard for me to say this. This is a false friend because it puts you in the center of the conversation. You're the one suffering because you have to tell this news. But actually, the person sitting across you, the recipient of the news, is the real victim here. Or maybe you don't apologize and you just spill it out, say it as it is, go through the motions like a bureaucrat. That is tempting too, because you can then distance yourself emotionally from the situation and think to yourself, I'm just doing my job. This hasn't got anything to do with me. It wasn't my fault anyway. I'm just doing what I was told. But in both cases, all you're doing is washing your hands. It wasn't me. It wasn't my fault. Nobody asked me. Don't shoot the messenger. So if an apology is not appropriate and just laying down the facts is too harsh, what can you do instead? First of all, acknowledge that the news is bad. Don't sugarcoat it. Don't fake solidarity. Don't pretend that there's a silver lining. Try something like, this is difficult news, and I'm not going to pretend otherwise. The second thing you need to acknowledge is the impact. How this news will affect the person, what will change, how will it affect the team, and also what options are available. An example could be, this means that your role will end on such and such a date. These are the resources available to you. These are the steps that you need to take with HR in order to complete the process. Be concrete, be specific, and be clear on these steps. And avoid saying things like, I'm sure everything will be all right. You don't know if this is going to be the last round of redundancies. You don't know how long the restructuring is going to take. You don't know what other management decisions are coming down the line. So don't promise something that you can't influence or control. Which brings me to the third acknowledgement, what you can and can't do. For instance, I can make sure that you have a direct line to HR, or I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. I can provide a reference if you need one. What I can't do is change the decision. Avoid saying things like, don't worry, I'm going to fight this for you to escalate this and make sure that this doesn't happen, because you may not have the power to do that. You may not have the authority to do that. You may not have the influence to do that. So raising expectations and guaranteeing things that you can't deliver or you don't know that you can deliver is not a good path to walk on. The other thing you need to do is listen and answer questions. And listening can be the hardest thing, because sometimes when somebody responds emotionally in a way that you don't feel prepared for, it's easy to kind of rush in and try and fix things and try and calm people down with promises and so on. But no, listen, pause, take 30 seconds, let them express what they think about the situation, what they think about you, how they feel that you're handling it. You'll get a lot of pushback and a lot of blame for this. Don't feel tempted to jump in and defend yourself. It wasn't your decision. You're here representing the company. You're here to deliver the message. So stay in that lane. Allow the other person to run left or right. And when they've calmed down, you can say, I'm here. I hear you. It's a difficult situation. I'll try and answer your questions as best I can. Or you can say something along the lines of, what will be most useful for you right now? And sometimes the answer may be something practical, something tactical, or maybe they'll just be silence, and you just need to sit there with them and lead the conversation. This means that you need to come prepared. Some companies that have a structured change management process already have a communications deck. They may have a set of questions and answers, or they may have a messaging framework so that everybody communicating this announcement will be communicating in the same way, that there's consistency in the messaging. If a company doesn't offer that, then I recommend that you take some time to sit down and start with the questions that you're most afraid of. These will be concerns about jobs, about the future, about the team structure, about work allocation. All these aspects of what brings the team together might come up as a question. Think about the answers that you'll have to those questions. Also prepare for responses to deep concerns that may come from the team. They may be complaints, they may be accusations. You need to prepare yourself for how you'll respond to those as well. So being the messenger is not about apologizing or blaming or excusing or defending or even having the perfect words. It's about staying in the room even when you feel uncomfortable. It's about acknowledging, being honest, and preparing, because with that, you will be able to have that talk. Okay? I'll see you next time.